Welcome to Stache Sports, episode 15. The Penguins are on a 5-game winning streak, which is great because they were on an 8-game losing streak before and looking like they were in the bottom of the NHL, but now have moved up in the standings. Some of the notable games that the Penguins played came earlier in the year 2026 when they took on the Detroit Red Wings in a home-to-home series, meaning that they would play one game in Detroit, taking off a day, and then go play one game in Pittsburgh, take off a day, and then go play another game in Detroit, or vice versa. But at the time, I don't know now because I don't really follow the Western Conference in hockey, but at the time, the Detroit Red Wings were one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and the Pittsburgh Penguins beat them. The Pittsburgh Penguins also came off a thrilling game on Sunday before the Steelers' thrilling game Sunday night, where they came back from a big deficit to end up beating the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus in overtime. And as we know, this year for the Pittsburgh Penguins, overtime has not been our friend. And we have been having trouble in the overtime periods for the Penguins. But coming off the bench on a substitution change, Sidney Crosby found an opportunity to score and got a pass to Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender, and the Penguins got a much-needed 2 points, which is much needed in this time of the hockey season as it's getting near the middle of the season. Even though we're going to have a break pretty soon when the Olympics come on, because all the Penguin players are going to the Olympics for their respective countries, and other players in the NHL too. But the Pittsburgh Penguins played the New Jersey Devils tonight, and the New Jersey Devils came off a bad loss to the New York Islanders a couple of days ago. So let's hope the Pittsburgh Penguins can continue the Devils' losing streak, continue their winning streak tonight in Pittsburgh. And in my opinion, Stuart Skinner has looked a lot better after coming to Pittsburgh in the trade. He has done a lot more than he has in the last couple of games than he did previously when he first came to Pittsburgh But I guess it takes time to get used to the team and get used to the playing system and get used to how our defense is playing. Also, I think our defense is playing a lot better, even though they led up that big lead last night on Sunday, even though they came back and won. I think our defense is playing a lot better now for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that the Penguins continue their winning streak tonight against the Devils. The Devils! Also, we had breaking news in NFL today where the Miami Dolphins fired their coach, Mike McDaniel, which I think is about time. Miami has not won a playoff game since 2000. That's an interesting fact. But Mike McDaniel was there for a few seasons and hasn't really done anything to make Miami relevant or even win a playoff game. So I think it was time for Miami to let go of Mike McDaniel, even though I think he should have been one of the coaches fired in the middle of the year, like the Tennessee Titans fired their coach and the Giants fired Brian Daboll. I was surprised to see John Harbaugh fired before Mike McDaniel was fired, but Mike McDaniel was let go today. I wonder if that means that John Harbaugh will go to Miami now. Miami is trying to enter the sweepstakes of John Harbaugh. They're trying to enter the sweepstakes of John Harbaugh. Harbaugh has connections to Stephen Ross, according to some reports, and the Harbaugh family has connections to the owner, Stephen Ross, of the Miami Dolphins. So would that be an interesting fit for him? But who will be their quarterback next year? Because they benched Tua, and I don't think Tua is a good quarterback. I don't think Tua can be a franchise quarterback, even if they get Harbaugh. But who knows? Maybe he is. Or maybe they go Quentin Ewers, who they're starting last year after they benched Tua, after Tua's bad performances in Miami. After Tua's bad performances with the Miami Dolphins. Also, the Buccaneers fired their first-year offensive coordinator and will have a new offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield next year. The previous offensive coordinator before this one is now the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Liam Cohen, who has led the Jaguars to a AFC South championship season, and a great season for the Jaguars in recent memory, in a lot of years. And it will be in the wild card game, and we'll talk more about the Jaguars in the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills later on this week. But we'll see what happens with that since they have a new coach, or have a new offensive coordinator. But there also are reports that Todd Bowles will be staying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as their head coach next year, as of this video airing. And there's no other coaching that got fired yet, as I know. Also, who knows what happens this week after Super Wildcard Weekend, which we'll talk more about in a later video. Because there's also reports that I've seen on videos that maybe the Green Bay Packers move on from Matt LaFleur if they can't beat the Chicago Bears. And maybe if the Buffalo Bills get bounced early, since they haven't been able to win a Super Bowl or get close, maybe Sean McDermott gets fired. But who knows? Also, I don't think Mike Tomlin will get fired no matter what happens this week. I think Mike Tomlin will be here next year. But who knows? With Harbaugh being gone now, who knows what these owners will do trying to get Harbaugh, who they think is a good coach. And I think it's a decent coach too because he was with the Ravens for 18 years, or 18 seasons. But tonight on ESPN and all the ESPN platforms, we have the college football playoffs round 4. Final Four starting tonight. The Final Four teams. Tonight's game matchup is between the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels. Tomorrow is between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Oregon Ducks. Miami came off a 10-point win against the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Buckeyes were this year's college football national last year's college football national championship. That's amazing that the Buckeyes lost, and the Miami Hurricanes, who all these crybaby Notre Dame fans wanted out of the playoffs because they thought Notre Dame belonged, ended up beating the current national champions. So this year, we will have a new national championship team in the college football world. Tonight is between the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels, like I said before. Ole Miss's quarterback is looking a lot better now, and maybe moving up his draft stock, but I still think Carson Beck shows up better tonight. I think Carson Beck shows up better tonight than the Miami Hurricanes, and the running backs show up. And their offense is too much to handle near the end of the game for the Ole Miss Rebels defense. But we'll see. Also, the interesting story for Ole Miss is Lane Kiffin, who left. Lane Kiffin led the Ole Miss Rebels all the way up to the playoffs, to a one-loss team who made the college football playoffs, but left because he got the coaching job at LSU, and Ole Miss decided they did not want him to be the head coach throughout the playoffs, so they promoted Pete Goldberg, who was previously the defensive coordinator at the Alabama Crimson Tide, to their head coaching job. And he'll be the head coach of next year and in the future. But I wonder if Lane Kiffin is regretting his decision now, because Lane Kiffin's main goal in life was to win the college football national championship, and his team that he led all year besides the playoffs is one game away from doing that such thing of going to the college football national championship game and having a chance to win it. But we will see what happens. As I said, I think Miami's defense and offense is a little too much for them, and Miami wins a close game at the end. And yes, I know my Florida State fans are going to be upset if I pick Miami, but oh well. I just think Miami is playing really well football. Is playing really good football right now, and has that chip on their shoulder of that team that people didn't think belonged, so they can show the world that they belong in the college football championship. Even though I think they belong, and I think they should have been in there, since they did beat Notre Dame in the head-to-head this year. And if you beat somebody in head-to-head, you should get over them because you beat them in the head-to-head. But anyway, I think after beating Ohio State last week, the Miami Hurricanes showed they belong in the college football national championship, in the college football playoffs. Tomorrow, we'll talk more about the college football playoffs. We'll talk about how the Miami Hurricanes, or whoever won this game tonight, or Ole Miss, whoever wins, we'll have a recap about that tomorrow's episode, and I'll get more into depth on who I think is going to win between the Oregon Ducks and the Indiana Hoosiers. We'll also talk about any other big news coming out of the sports world tomorrow in our videos. We'll talk about more news coming out in the sports world in the videos tomorrow. We'll talk about the Oregon Duck game tomorrow and the Indiana Hoosiers and who I think is going to win. But tonight, I think this is Miami Hurricanes who win in a close game. I hope it's a close game, because that's all you really want when you don't really have a team vested interest in the game, is you want to watch a close football game from beginning to end, and a good football game too. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It's a team that got in at the last second, and a team that coach left to go coach in conference rival. Ooh, that's an interesting story. But thank you for watching Stache Sports episode 15. If you have any comments or any concerns or anything I can talk about in my next videos, please let me know. And again, tomorrow's video will talk about the Oregon and Indiana game. We'll recap tonight's game and talk about any other major breaking news in sports. But thank you for watching Stache Sports episode 15.